Good evening. First tonight, these shocking figures which show how knife crime is on the rise in our region. We can reveal that more than 50 people have been stabbed to death across the East Midlands in the last 4 years.
Detailed figures we've seen also show a steep rise in the number of people being stabbed and injured. And there's been a steady increase in knife point robberies too. Our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball is here to tell us more. Hi Jeremy, just how concerning are these figures?
Well, of course, when you hear about any stabbing, some people are going to worry. But these official figures show how those headlines are part of a long-term trend. Now, we've been given a detailed breakdown from the official crime stats by the Office for National Statistics. And what they show isn't just people carrying knives, it's people using them as well. So people being threatened, people being wounded, even killed.
Remembering a friend, a son, another wasted young life. 17-year-old Lorico Steed was stabbed repeatedly at Bulwell in Nottingham, the human face of yet another appalling statistic. Lorico is one of dozens of people who've been killed by knives in the last 4 years. There were 18 deaths in Derbyshire. Nottinghamshire saw 15 fatal stabbings. There were 11 more in Leicestershire, and 8 people were killed by knives in Lincolnshire since 2014. But those fatal stabbings are only the tip of the iceberg. In the Meadows today, extra police patrols after recent knife attacks there left several people injured. And our police forces recorded more than 1,200 crimes where someone was wounded last year. That's 26 people stabbed or slashed every week. Knife woundings have increased by 33% in a single year. In Leicestershire, that figure doubled. And more people are being threatened by blades too. This is footage of a knife point robbery early on Tuesday morning. The victim had her handbag snatched on Clarence Street in Leicester. Now detectives are trying to identify 2 suspects caught on camera. And last year, our police forces recorded more than 700 knife point robberies. That's around 14 in a typical week. They increased by 35% last year. Almost half of those robberies were in Nottinghamshire. The police say many victims of knife crime know their attackers and you're unlikely to be targeted randomly. But a rising tide of both threats and injuries is making knife crime a priority.
So, Jeremy, do we know why these numbers are rising so sharply?
Well, there seems to be a range of reasons, really. There's a lot of concern about social media being used to stoke up disputes more quickly. Some people are blaming tougher stop and search rules. Worries too about cuts in policing, cuts in youth services. But this rise isn't just happening here in the East Midlands. There's been an even sharper rise in knife offences in some of the country's largest cities. And I've been speaking to Nottinghamshire's knife crime coordinator.
There is a culture amongst a small number of young people in our city, primarily between that 15 to 25 age range, young men who feel that it's acceptable to carry a knife, and within that group there's a smaller number who feel it's acceptable to use a knife to hurt some other people. So yes, it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that we're ready to meet.
Are you really going to reach those people, though, that are stabbing people?
Are we going to reach everybody? I think the honest answer is no. However, I really do feel that we can make a big difference. You look at what Scotland have done, reduced their knife offending by 80%. So if it's achievable in Scotland, it's achievable in Nottingham.
So, in Scotland, what are they doing to stop knives being used?
Well, yeah, one thing Simon Firth wants to copy from Scotland is something called the Chicago model. Now, this is where he says children are running projects to deter their classmates from carrying knives. He's also looking at setting up something with the city's Justice Museum, a new interactive workshop, and this is based on something that's being run by the Ben Kinsella Trust in London. As well as that, Nottingham has its own knife crime team that's searching people suspected of carrying knives. And while the police accept there are some real challenges here, they say, look, you need to put this into perspective. Your chances of being a victim of knife crime are still very, very small.
Well, that's reassuring at least. Thanks very much indeed.